All right, so I got a couple more videos I want to watch before I head off for the day, and this one is from Voidy. We're going to check this one out. It's titled Star Citizen Could Never Do This, plus an update. I'm just kind of curious what his update is. I wonder if it's like a life update or something. So let's see what Voidy's got for
Our
us.
ludicrous space game is actually so broken beyond belief right now that developers CIG pulled an unprecedented move and cancelled a free fire event where anyone could log in and try Star.
Not only that, they canceled all the gameplay that they were planning for the year to fix bugs.
Citizen out for free.
Maybe. I don't know.
This is the third 30,009 error I've had trying to connect. The game is currently so broken, in fact, that it prompted me to make a rare, actual super serious discussion video instead of the usual world-class and totally brilliant epic space adventure type content that a lot of you handsome viewers have become accustomed to. So what in the Mazelian's crusty nutsack is going on, and why do we care? The last few free fly events that I can recall didn't really negatively impact my experience playing the game, if at all, but we need to remember that the Star Citizen experience is first and foremost an anecdotal one. You just need to take a step back and realize for a second that you're not the center of the universe to appreciate that our ludicrous space game is comically inconsistent. And for every one person having a great time, there are many more experiencing some form of game-breaking, session-ending, and overly frustrating issues.
Do you know how many times people like I'm literally on Week in Review saying, like, here's the news, here's what's happening, but here's been my experience with the, the fix or the event or whatever. And people will be like, well, that didn't happen to me. And it's like, okay, but it's like literally on the screen. So if it's happening to me, it's happening to other people too. These things are real. You're just writing a YouTube comment with no indication if you're telling the truth or not. I'm showing you the truth. So it's like, the idea of, well, like everything's fine, I just, take screenshots all day, the game is great, is not an argument against somebody being like, yo, the game's in a really bad place right now, and it doesn't feel good to play.
It's been this way forever, regardless of how good your experience was in patch 3.2. Go f*** yourself. So I just thought I would throw
oh my god, that was actually good.
2 American United Earth credits into the current conversation about the cancelled free fly and CIG's alleged intentions to focus on playability as well as stability and ask these 2 questions.
Okay.
Is the cancelled free fly a sign that CIG are actually going to improve, polish, and fix the game that we currently have in our hands today? And if they do, and actually playing the game becomes a frictionless and flawless experience over the next few months, is there even an...
So this is before SCL, I'm assuming. It sounds like over the next year or more.
enough game to play and keep the player base engaged for long? To answer
I think the answer to that is no. Let's see what he says.
the first question,
Okay, we need to focus on how the game plays now. We've got to improve the quality of life. We've got to improve the experience.
2018! It's 2025!
this clip of Sodium Michael's clip of a clip highlights how we've been here before. It appears that the cycle is simply continuing, and there's always been a yearning from the community for making the current live experience as good as possible by removing all the friction experienced in moment-to-moment gameplay and let us enjoy what...
Dude, how that video came about is so funny. It was a Discord message that, like, a lot of my Discord members like to clip me saying stuff to catch me later. So I there's one that they post all the time of me saying I trust Chris Roberts. There's no context to it at all. I have no idea where it came from. Nothing. But they're always trying to catch me. And one of them posted this. It was Dade Vinci. I think a lot of you guys know Dade. Dade was actually one of the most dedicated testers I had ever seen, cared about the game so much, and because of the state of how they do Evocati, how they do PTUs, and how they have pushed patches out to live without any of the fixes that, he's pointing out and making issue council reports for, I think he just kind of put the game down for a while, right? But he still pops in Discord every once in a while to meme, and he memed that. And I saw it, and I was like, when was this? And he told me it was like 2020, 2021. And I was just like, that's crazy, dude. And then me posting it again, like the timing of it for all this stuff that CIG is doing is kind of, letting everybody remember that the words they say don't matter. The actions they do matter. So the first real action that we'll see is 4.0.2 and them taking a piece of what they want to do for the transit refactor and plop it right into 4.0.2 and hopefully fix a lot of the elevator issues that we have.
Game there is without having to rip our fingernails off in frustration. They never fixed it back then, they haven't fixed it yet, but will they fix it now? Handsome viewer,
no.
I f***ing hope so. But the real question to get some sort of answer should actually be, what's the best thing for the project's success in the long term?
Yep.
Say what you want about CIG's marketing tactics and the project's tumultuous development over the years, but it's undeniable that Star Citizen is not a cash grab scam, and if it is, it's the worst cash grab scam in the
I think the percentage of it is a cash grab, but the cash grab isn't like a crypto rug pull. It's we're going to take our salaries for years, and me, my wife, and my brother, and my friends are all going to continue to take their salaries for years. I think that is somewhere where they got pretty comfortable. And whether they did it on purpose, maliciously, or not, it happened. And it's been happening. And it has an icky feeling. I'm not in the boardroom. I don't know what's happening. I don't know how much Sandy cares or Chris cares or Aaron cares, how much they cared in 2015 versus how much they care now. But what I do know, and what Voidy is trying to point out here, is the developers get paid. The money is going to the development. Unfortunately, some of the money is going to people that are all of Chris Roberts' family connections, and it looks weird. Whether it is weird or not is hard to say. As far as Sandy, that's always such a sensitive subject, and Sandy was a big part of the project early on and was a big part of getting the ball rolling into what the game turned into today. So whether the focus is that much on the game now, I mean, we've seen her focus on her acting career and using the community to try to, get likes on tweets and things like that. So there's always been this like weird feeling with her. Aaron's obviously been a game developer and shipped games before and come on camera and said some really stupid things a few times. But I think for, the right reasons and caring and things like that, whether those things actually happened or two totally different things. Yeah, nepotism doesn't usually work out for the best, but technically it's worked out so far. I mean, the things that we have in Star Citizen are pretty incredible, and they've gotten this far. I think they could be a lot farther if they took this initiative earlier. But here we are today, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if any of those things are actual issues. Hard to say. Impossible to say. And it honestly would be like litigious to say. And I don't believe any way or another, but it's hard to ignore that, like, half this guy's fucking family works at the company,
History of the world. The amount of time, effort, developer blood, and money that has gone into this project alongside the creation of new technologies like server meshing is unironically unprecedented, and a casual glimpse at the wider environment of the gaming industry should indicate to you that we are lucky to even have Star Citizen in our hands today, as shit and buggy as it is in the first place. Yeah. Typically, when a game is developed and eventually released, the marketing is what does all the heavy lifting for the initial sales, and sadly in modern gaming, the pre-sales as well, which are huge factors in determining the financial success or failure of a title. However, it is the quality of the game itself that sustains financial success over the long term. Does it scratch a particular itch potential players have had leading up to the game's release? Does the game live up to the hype created by the marketing in the first place? And most importantly,
I don't think it's ever lived up to the hype of Star Citizen's marketing up to this
the
point.
game good. Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3 showcase this point most aptly. Rare cases of games with a ton of hype leading up to their releases and then
Can Star Citizen be these games, though? These games, like, scale and scope is so tiny in comparison to Star Citizen. I don't think it could ever achieve, like, using these as comparisons are like, these are the legends of the gaming community at this time that put the game first. They were able to, right?
actually meeting or exceeding that hype.
GTA 6, I mean, isn't there a lot of like pay to win in the multiplayer aspect of it, but also another single player game for the most part? Scale and scope much smaller, even though it might be huge scale as far as a single player game goes.
Hype in the eyes of the larger player base, leading to long-term sustained success.
Remember, like, what are the major issues with Star Citizen? A lot of them are like desync, other player related, you versus the NPC on a server because there's other players doing other things, right? So don't forget that part.
There are indeed exceptions such as No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk 2077 that had
Single-player
huge
games.
marketing endeavors met with abysmal launches that missed their marks but met sustainable success over time as the developers continue to strive to make the games themselves good and meet the quality bar their players required from them. Star Citizen, however, breaks these conventions and has managed to exist in a state of hype stasis for over 15 years, sustainably but perplexingly raising its nearly $1 billion without ever actually producing a solid gameplay experience that any mainstream audience gamer would consider acceptable. So it's my belief that whoever at CIG is guiding the Star Citizen project along its golden path will steer the project towards stability and playability when it makes the most sense to ensure the long-term and sustainable success of the game. Or
the interesting thing is now that time, right? Like, the SEL happened. Obviously, Voidy didn't see it at this time when he made this video, but the SEL happened, and I mean, they seem just as nervous as we do about some of these things. Like, is this the right decision? Is this the right time? Would it have made sense to do this after server meshing or after base building, after crafting, or, you know? I think it would have made a lot more sense to do 5 years ago. But they were riding the hype of, you know, people all being working from home, and everybody, the gaming community, like, blew up during that time, all that stuff. I have no idea. I have no idea if it'll be a good decision now, a bad one, or whatever, but it's they are deciding to do it now. And I think it's because it's so far gone at this point that they have no choice.
whenever it becomes financially sensible to do so.
They probably couldn't even deliver
In my humble
content.
opinion, it boils down to this. If
Based on how
Star
bad the game
Citizen
is.
becomes a frictionless and enjoyable experience to play now, in the short term, would the potential success and growth from that allocation of company resources to make that happen translate to enough financial gain to compete with or exceed yet another ship sale for yet another broken build of our ludicrous space game? I feel like with the current state of 4.0 point whatever the fuck, it should. How many of you handsome viewers have friends? How many of those friends have you tried to get to come play Star Citizen with you? How many of those friends would dedicate time and their hard-earned money towards Star Citizen if the game was in a far better and more playable state? If the game was polished, stable, and frictionless right now,
How quickly would your friends get bored is the question. How quickly would you get bored is the question. Cargo hauling works perfectly. Freight elevators work perfectly. Elevators work perfectly. Inventory works perfectly. Let's say those are the issues that they fix first. People are cargo hauling all over the place until they get bored because they have 500 million credits and don't know what to do with it. You pirate those people for the first few weeks, maybe month, maybe couple months, because they're willing to do it, and then all of a sudden they're not doing it anymore, right? It is a game that has a lot of faucets and no sinks. And when that happens, your player base tends to get bored very quickly. If every event is going to pay you 500,000 credits to do the most basic missions of all time, people are going to have so much money, they're not going to play because they're going to be bored. Now, an Aurora pilot has a lot of money that they can spend. They could buy a Vulture, they could buy a big ship, they could buy some combat ships, they could buy some cargo haulers. That player will probably have a lot more to do for a long time. And this, like, to play devil's advocate against myself here, that might extend that player's experience really for a really long time, and that might make it where they're getting their friends in. They have months of content. Like, it could legitimately be that thing for players who have endless ships and this and that. It's not as exciting.
Having an influx of new or inexperienced players who don't end up Alt F4ing at the first sign of a game-breaking bug can and should do more good for the health and sustainability of the game than any tone-deaf marketing endeavor to sell yet another spaceship.
Yeah, also, will players buy those spaceships? Or will they just buy them with in-game credits if the experience is good? That's a whole nother thing.
However, I'm not a member of the CIG accounting team, and we have no idea how effective it would actually be in practice. But surely more people would be willing to spend more money on the project if the game actually fucking worked and worked consistently. Normal people buy a game to play the game, not marvel at their fleet of fake spaceship JPEGs that they cannot even use. And
this is super based and so true, and I've been saying this for a really long time. These like fleet viewer addicts on Twitter and Spectrum and like these kind of things, I get the vibe that these are the people that are making the complaints around contested zones and I want this, I want everything handed to me all the time. I think these are the people that are making those kind of threads. I don't know for sure, but it does feel that way. They're just not going to be here anymore. Like, as the game comes out, those people are just going to not enjoy the experience and they're just going to leave. And company got their money and they're just going to go most likely because the game's not going to be enjoyable for them. And they might take their own advice when they talk to people like me and say, why don't you just quit then if you don't like the game so much? And I might get to say touche, and we're vice versa, right back on them.
I need to believe that there are more normal people out there that just want to buy and play a cool multiplayer space game that have enough purchasing power to mean something to CIG and actually impact the long-term health of Star Citizen.
I just don't think it is a cool multiplayer space game yet. It is very much here are all your spaceships that you paid real money for, and here is this like level that is a giant star system or two now that you get to play house with those, right? It's like when you were a kid playing with like G.I. Joes and you were imagining what you would do with them and what they would be doing. You have to have an imagination with this game a lot. Voidy's game loop is one of the few sandbox game loops that exist, and not everybody wants to do this, right? The other sandbox game loops do not exist. So, like, being a pirate is something where cargo haulers are cargo hauling, and they will eventually get bored because the sandbox element of that loop doesn't exist, right? You're not cargo hauling for other players. You're cargo hauling for this invisible economy that it just doesn't make any sense and doesn't exist, and they're eventually going to get bored of, is, in my opinion, it'll just go away. And those people, there will be less people to pirate, and it will be less fun, or, and so on. It's like that. So like Voidy's game loop exists. A lot of other people's game loops do not. And how many people will come from Voidy's vids and find the game exciting? A lot, almost all of them probably, because if they find the content on the screen interesting and fun, and what he does fun, then they'll probably enjoy the game a lot. But I imagine people who watch me that are more interested in industry style gameplay, especially this year, sounds like they're going to put crafting on the back burner. They might not find it fun. So it's going to be a really interesting year with what they decide to do if these players stick around and if they find it enjoyable. It's like such a So many questions.
For the second question, if Star Citizen becomes a frictionless and flawless experience over the next few months, is there even enough game there to play and keep the player base engaged for long enough until the next big content drop? From my perspective, this question has two answers. On the one hand, you have a player base that is perfectly content with the shallow and repetitive PvE content the game has had on offer for the last 500 years, and think that going to a bunker and shooting a handful of desynchronous NPCs in a high-octane manner is peak modern gaming. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, you do you, but I've always seen the current rudimentary mission and contract system in Star Citizen as a placeholder for a much deeper and dynamic system that I hope realizes its full potential in the coming years. Whatever that might look like, I have no idea. Something about probability volumes and quantum physics, but the current amount of PvE-orientated content definitely has a short shelf life even for the most dedicated of reputation grinders.
Yep. And again, he did not watch SCL, and he's pointing out like the biggest question from everything we heard at SCL. Is this narrative content going to carry the game? And I think that's the easiest one to answer. Probably not. And that's the fear. That's the scary thing. Is this focus on narrative content? I don't think that will work.
On the other hand, you have a fun and challenging PvP-orientated side of the game that lends itself to some incredible emergent gameplay, of which I have said before and will continue to say again. No other game comes close to seamlessly creating the scenarios and situations that I continue to find myself in Star Citizen that no developer or designer could ever create by hand. That's not a comment to do with any degree or lack of skill in their craft, but because other players just simply cannot be controlled or told what to do. PvE content is designed to be beaten after all, and there is enough of Star Citizen's foundation in place in the current game that most PvP piracy-orientated encounters become their own incredible adventures that I just can't seem to get enough of. It's the reason I even make the video.
It's the rest of the incredible adventures that are, you know, organic, just don't really happen.
Videos I've become known for on this channel. It's the polar opposite of many other games that constrict you so tightly to rails you might as well be watching a movie. And that's what makes Star Citizen so special, that within that freedom of the sandbox, there's tons of room for exciting sci-fi emergent gameplay, and any mission or contract system should support this to the best of its ability, not exist in isolation of it. If you take that current PvP-oriented gameplay experience that is possible today and add it to what CIG intends for a one.
I mean, think about how much narrative content could have happened at CZs, like between players, but because they were so broken, we never really got that. I mean, the best thing I can think of is Hitbo, who's a Sea of Thieves streamer, which is coming over to Star Citizen now, being able to steal a F7C or F7A Mark II from somebody. And that's pretty cool, right? That's like super sandboxy. He was hiding, waiting for somebody to do it. They finally did it, and he got a really good ship out of it, right? And it's I think that's the piece of the puzzle that might be missing, and that might hurt them based on this initiative that they're having. Is the sandbox tools are so limited to like piracy right now, and that's it.
1.0 future version of the game.
Like, imagine if they just spent some time letting us trade items with each other. Make that simple and easy. There is a way to do it, you know, with freight elevators. The freight elevators suck. So there's that, and yeah.
You have a recipe for something truly special. A game that I believe will definitely be worth many people's time and money that will one day eventually exceed hype and expectations. It's just a matter of time and probably another $1 billion. But I would love to know your handsome viewers' handsome thoughts. Is the cancelled Free Fly a sign
Oh my
of
God, what's
positive
happening on the
change to
screen?
come? Could we get a stable and consistently playable Star Citizen this year? And will it stay that way? Should CIG just continue doing what they've been doing, because apparently if it's broke, you don't actually really need to fix it because you keep making millions of dollars anyway? Is it finally time to turn the tech demo into a game? Let me know in the comments below.
It's finally time to turn the tech
Thank
demo
you
into
so
a game.
much for watching. Instead of the usual Patreon and support nonsense, it's time for an important message. In December, I held a live stream. A live stream that helped my family raise money and pay for all the exorbitant costs associated with safely getting our pet dogs, Kevin and Sabrina, over from South Africa to our new home in the UK. We had
Aww.
spent over 4 long months in a new country without them, and today I am tremendously pleased and
Let's
moved
go.
beyond words
Yo, shit, this dog looks just like my dog. Oh my god, so cute.
to provide you guys who made this possible with an update.
Oh, they're so tiny though. Very cool. What an ending.
Surprise!
Surprise!
It's the biggest surprise in the house. Yes! A furry alive surprises! What
The UK makes it absurdly difficult? Really? That's lame.
International puppos now.
This is a boy. How? Tell me how.
They came on the plane yesterday.
Why didn't you tell us?
We wanted to surprise you.
Oh, you surprised? That means they're better.
You hear his kids?
Not that better. Not
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Yeah, this is in-game footage. Oh, that's
You
so
viewers
sweet.
who are so dumbfoundingly handsome did this. You helped me to fix my family.
I never saw this fucking live stream, by the way, and I'm really pissed off I couldn't have been a part of helping this.
From the bottom of my heart,
I'm like legitimately
Thank you.
mad right now.
I'll see you around the verse. Cheers.
Oh my god. Something about pets, right? That is awesome. What a way to end it. Holy crap. What a really good video from him, by the way. Like, in every aspect of it. You know, he often just does the fun stuff, and I think he talked about really important things. And what's so cool is I think he nailed everyone's feelings without ever knowing what they were going to say on SCL. And that's super strong. And then obviously the doggos at the end, which was great. So, Voidy, I'm so happy for you, and I'm literally going to shoot you a DM now and yell at you because I'm so mad I didn't know about this.